I have just started the recording, so you should see that. So welcome everybody. For those who I have not had the opportunity to meet, again, I'm Paul Lewis. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Teaching, Learning, and Assessment. This is year number 5 for me in the district. This is year 33 in my career in education. So I'm so glad that you're all here. I think because we might be working together the next time too, I think it's nice if we do a fast introductions. I'm just going to go by the pictures on the screen in order that I see them. They may not be the same order. Katie, that means you're first.
Okay, I'm Katie O'Brien. I'm one of the instructional coaches at Avon School. This is my 3rd year in the district, and I'm right around year 20 in my career.
And Katie was one of the people in the small group who helped work on the mission statement and vision statements. And if I missed somebody else along the way, I apologize for that. Heather, you're next.
I'm Heather Lorenzo. A few name drops today during presentations. I'm the Director of Pupil Services. So I run special ed and nursing and 504s, and I'm also the principal of the early childhood program. I've been in this role for 12 years, 16 in this district, and I'm also a parent and community member. I have 2 children at Park School. Tina teaches them.
And going on to Tina. Thank you, Heather.
Hi, I'm Tina Baldwin. This is my first year in the role of art teacher at Park Campus, but I've been around the district for some time. I was a sub at when we first moved to Grays Lake, and both my children attended Woodview, and now they have moved on to Grays Lake Central and Purdue. So I've been a parent in the district since 2010, actually. Yep.
And then Cheryl, you're next.
Hi, my name's Cheryl Johnson. I'm a reading assistant at Avon. I've been at Avon for 4 years, and before that I did 3 years in the Lake Villa district subbing.
Thank you so much. And Tanya.
Hi, I'm Tanya Kent. I'm a parent of a 4th grader at Meadowview and 6th grader at Frederick. And we've been here in Grays Lake for almost 5 years now.
Wonderful. And Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily Waddick. I'm a parent in the community. I have 2 at Woodview, a 4th grader and a 2nd grader, and I'm an educator in real life as well.
And certainly not least, our friend Paula.
Oh, Paula, you're on mute. We've all done it.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Paula Casey. I've lived in Grays Lake for about 22 years now. And my children have long graduated. My son did go from 8th grade through the high school in Grays Lake. He's now about to be a father. And I love education and the kids. I belong to the Grays Lake Arts Alliance, and I belong to, I mainly deal with our parts that educate the children. So we come up with all kinds of crafts for them and stuff to do.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So the people who were in my group for the first couple of meetings, I told you that I had the best group. And so I'm only assuming that that's going to continue to go on with this group of people right now. And Heather, I see you're arguing, well, I'm in charge of this meeting. So
You can hang up on me.
I can boot you out of the meeting. And so we're going to go along with the idea that we're going to have the best group. I hope that my presentation, while I tried to talk very fast, I hope you got some nuggets of information. Our district has come a very long way in a few short years, and I do not say that because I arrived 5 years ago, but because the system was ready for change when I was hired, and we were really in a good place to make some systemic changes across the district that I think are beginning to see a lot of traction. So some of us are employees here in the district and see the difference or hear the difference, but our teachers are working on with a renewed focus on collaboration, learning from each other, valuing each other's participation, and then the whole idea of one district, one direction. We're all moving forward together, and we're all here to support each other. That is a change in philosophy from years prior, and so I think those are really important. I know that at some point in time we're going to need to identify a recorder. He didn't mention that, but I know that that's going to be important. Is there anyone interested? The other job may be will be a reporter, so somebody to share out the information. Those are the two roles I'm looking for. Anyone willing or interested?
I am going to decline the recorder. I'm working on a very old computer and a dying battery, so I'm afraid I'll miss something. I end when the computer shuts down, so.
I,
I'm ready to record if you want me to.
okay.
Katie, thank you so much for volunteering to be the recorder. I heard you say.
Yes. Do you want me to record? Do you want me to present while I'm recording or no?
We'll make that decision in a second.
Okay.
And anyone who's willing, if and when we're going to need a reporter. Thank you, Tina.
That's a brave soul. Emily, I'm curious, what is your, what do you teach?
I'm actually an administrator. I'm a division chair for special education at Zion Benton High School.
You're my person.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yep.
So hopefully each of you were able to get into the document, which I know you did because you got to this link. In that link, in that document also where it was the goal area teams, there was a link to the SWOT for curriculum instruction and assessment. Paula, it looks like you're giving me a look like you need some help with that.
All I see is pictures. I don't have any
Maybe
document.
we should present it.
Paula, will it be easier if we present it on the screen so that you can see while we're talking?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, if you can, I'm so sorry.
No, don't be sorry about that. So Katie, are you okay doing that, presenting your screen to the rest of us?
Yes. I can do that.
In this document, and Paula, at the end, if you want me to help you get to it so you have it later, at the very bottom of this document that Katie is going to start presenting, on page 2, I put a link to my full presentation. So in case you want to go back and look at anything at any point in time. And then I also put a link to the key takeaways document that I created. It was on the last slide of the presentation as well, but I did put it in another document as well, just so that everyone had those things. So here comes Katie and the document. So Katie, can you scroll down to the second page just so that we can see what I was talking about? When you get to the second page, you can see there's 2 active links there, one for the presentation and one for the key takeaways. I just wanted everyone to know that you had full access to those documents. You've heard me that I talk very fast, so please just interrupt me if anyone needs me. Paula, it looked like you were going to have a question.
Oh, I was going to ask, should I download it now or no?
If we're going, either way, you're good with it. If you want to just pay attention on the screen as Katie's doing it, Katie, I don't know if you're able to expand.
Oh, sure, I can definitely do that.
I appreciate that, Heather.
I found it easier, Katie, to just like zoom in with your fingers.
You do a 2-finger pinch on the trackpad.
Oh,
hold on. I will do the best I can here.
So as Katie's
toolbar.
oh,
Okay, here we go.
do it how you want to.
Right? Does that work?
see,
There you go.
Katie, excellent. And so you did hear that we were going to give feedback about the new vision statement, but we're going to pass on that today. So we're really talking about this SWOT analysis. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So the difficulty is, or the challenge here is, we may want to talk about each of the 3 areas or just talk generally about all of them. This would be very easy to do just a SWOT on curriculum, just do a SWOT on instruction, and just do a SWOT on achievement, because those, while in my world, I can talk about the intersection of all of those every, for hours and hours and hours, they're all connected. They are separate entities as well. So I think for right now, since we have 23 minutes, I think we should just talk about big picture, the big strengths that you maybe heard or about our district, the big weaknesses that we can talk about, because I believe that the next time we're going to come back together, I hope that's the plan, that we'll have another chance to go a little bit deeper into it. And in my opinion, I always think it's easier to talk about the good things, so the strengths. But before you begin, that this is my passion and my world, and I'm committed to all of it, but I also am ready for any of comments. And so the only way we grow is if we acknowledge and find areas of potential growth. So please don't hesitate to say that, no, something isn't so great, or I disagree with something. I have to be able to own that and accept that. So please, you will not offend me. But let's talk about some strengths. Katie's going to try to get down as many notes as possible in the strength areas, and I'm going to stop talking.
One strength I think is you're looking to the future with having the kids be bilingual. That is tremendous. I have wanted that in the schools for a long time.
So that whole concept of being able to move to dual language.
Oh my, yes, it's fabulous. Just being in a world that is so small now with the internet and everything makes it, to me, a requirement to go to any jobs and what have you.
Keep going.
I would say our unit guides and curriculum alignment across the district and grade bands.
That was going to be my big thing. Yes.
Absolutely.
The interesting part is that sometimes the strength in one person's mind, it's a strength, and another person thinks it could be a weakness. I'm hoping that our unit guides are not a weakness from other people's opinion, but I'm just reminding, that all of us can have different opinions about those. What other strengths did you see or hear?
Supportive software, Lexia.
So that was a recent addition to the district, but we're seeing some good things about it.
Mm-hmm.
To piggyback off of that, just all of the resources that are available to teachers and staff.
Mm-hmm.
I think, was there an upcoming math, or I don't remember now.
So that was called Success Maker. And so the Avon and Prairie View teachers are going to be trained Wednesday the 10th on a new program that's connected to Envisions. And so it's similar to Lexia, where it's independent growth for kids. There's a placement test, and then it shows areas that the kid could use extra time and support independently with.
Wonderful.
Okay. Yeah.
We should also, just a special mention, and this doesn't have to be in the notes, that we don't only have quality resources for our ELA and math and other subject areas, but we do for our related services as well. We have lots of quality programs for social workers and speech and others.
Okay.
Well, I already went long on my presentation. I could have spoken all night just on just on resources. That's the tricky part. And Tina, you're one of our art teachers. We just added Art Ed Pro Flex, a new great curriculum resource. I hope that people are going to take great advantage for it. So, I mean, there's lots of other things. Keep talking about strengths.
I like the move away from the textbooks. It's a strength for me.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So the whole idea is to get more current, more interactive, more appropriate, different levels, all kinds of things. A textbook is really meant for a certain kind of a student at a certain reading level, and it's not really going to make it for everybody. So resources such as Newsela is a resource to get articles about all kinds of current events. They put out 20 different articles every single day about current events, but on history topics and just literature too. It's pretty amazing. But the great thing is that if you were all in my class, you could get the article at your reading level. So if there was somebody in my class at a second grade reading level and somebody was at an 8th grade reading level, so it continuously pushes the kid to be at a level where they can fully engage in conversation, dialogue, discussion, but on text that they can understand. So Paula, I saw your response. That's pretty cool.
This is amazing to me. Absolutely amazing. I wondered how it worked without textbooks, that my teachers read from the textbook and said, here you go.
Right.
Amazing.
Pretty cool.
I would add, am I brain farting? Well, one of our strengths for our staff is proficiency in understanding what the Common Core goals are and the connection with their units of study. So I don't know how to, I mean, we just really worked hard for our staff to really connect with what those expectations are.
And that's not an easy undertaking to get to a common understanding about what a standard means and what the rigor level that we should be shooting for, and consistency in assessment, so that one teacher's bar isn't here and another teacher's bar is here and another teacher is way down low. Consistency of understanding of the target is really important.
I would also add the work in thinking maps has created common vocabulary and practice across all grade bands.
And so I know Katie would probably comment on that, but the use of thinking maps for kids has really opened some unbelievable work for kids. So I know that some of the staff members fully understand what I'm talking about, but it does make a difference. Katie, a comment while you're trying to type feverishly?
No, I completely agree. It helps across all subject areas and just develops that common language and vocabulary for students. So
a funny personal story. My kids were making a flea map, which is not something they're necessarily taught in the basics of the maps. And they were arguing with me, and I text Paul, I'm like, flea or flow, tell me. And I was like, see, I told you it was a flea map. And your mom knows everything.
So for some of the parents or the non-District 46 staff or non-District 46 staff members, thinking maps, it's a bad word if you call them that they're graphic organizers, but they are graphic organizers on steroids, well beyond, and they're 8 unique ones, and then with combination maps like the flea and the flubble and such. So those are just fun words that we get to say as well, but they have really fun, really significant cognitive processes involved with them. So
it gets them to think outside the box.
It certainly
structure to their thinking, I think.
Okay.
Each map has its own purpose.
from comparing to contrasting to organizing to describing to classifying to brainstorming to
Wow.
I'm drawing a blank, but it's late. Any other strengths that anybody would like to share?
Wow. Yeah. I'm impressed. It's amazing. I knew that when they have a computer in their hands, you know, it gives them, it opens the world to them. The education is just, now, when they go back to after the pandemic and everything, are you going to keep the computers in the kids' hands?
Well,
So
less
probably-
than the amount, probably.
Yes.
Significantly, but keep them.
We are
Paula,
finding.
I was just say, Paula, you bring up a really good point that I was thinking, that our students and our staff have created such a level of proficiency with tech knowledge and tech use that
Mhm.
this can only elevate what we're doing when we do get fully back.
It's,
You know,
yeah,
We're not in pockets anymore.
it's opened doors for your teaching. I mean, you know, the kids, I knew the kids were smarter than me, but
You know, different things, Paula.
I am not smarter than a fifth grader anymore.
I love it.
And I would just comment that I think, as Heather said, we will continue to use them in the appropriate places, but there's still important things that kids need to do, paper and pencil and knee to knee and eye to eye and all those kind of things too. So that's equally as important. And so those are the things we're missing right now because of all those connections and such. So we're working on to build all those things. But thankfully, we will have enough computers, Chromebooks for all of our K-8 students to have one themselves. Our K-2 students will likely not be bringing them home on a regular basis. They'll leave them in the classroom. Our 3rd through 8th grade kids will be bringing them home regularly.
I also think a strength is writing, handwriting, and cursive. I hate to see that go.
We've made a strong emphasis back on cursive writing, and so our cursive writing starts in 3rd grade. And it's interesting that my big priority about cursive handwriting, why yes, I have beautiful cursive handwriting. I taught 3rd grade for a lot of years. I can match just about anybody with my cursive. The whole concept of cursive instruction is that kids need to be able to read primary sources. And so for kids to be able to read documents that were in cursive, or to read letters from their grandparents, or to read letters from in their family history that are written in cursive, that's equally important to me than the actual physical process of cursive. So it's a dual kind of thing there. I'm really conscious of time. We need to get to the other boxes.
I just want to add one, but it also feeds into an opportunity. We have some really strong foundational work in trauma-informed practices and SEL, but trauma-informed within the pupil services department, which then turns itself into an opportunity. I would like to broaden that trauma-informed.
For sure.
Okay.
So how about going to the weaknesses? And I can handle it. So tell me, what are some of the things that we need to keep working on, or that you saw as holes? I have a list, so I'm glad to keep talking, but it's your turn.
Okay.
One of the weaknesses I see is typing, and not so much at Avon because we're the younger grades, but even my kids, they're in college now. The typing is horrendous. And, you know, I grew up, you took typing class and you practice. So
the physical home row key idea.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I have 3 kids myself, and they can out type me without proper finger placement, though.
Yeah.
How?
And
because they're using devices like iPads and things like that.
Yeah, I get
But
But we-
I agree. That's on the list, Cheryl, for sure. What else? Keep telling me about weaknesses.
With that, your history to me is extremely important. You seemed like you weren't concentrating very much on history. You said, you were getting rid of you were using a little bit of the history books. To me, history repeats itself. And it's very important that the kids know history. What are you doing about that?
For sure. So history is one of the 5 big areas in social science, and so it's still important, but it's not as much about memorizing dates and names as it is to understand the big concepts, the big purposes, the big reasons behind the history, and then to be able to compare that. How is World War I similar to World War II, and what did we learn from that? What perspectives did we have in each of those wars, and was it a fair and equitable representation in our history books from different people's perspectives? So that's how we're addressing history. We're looking for bigger themes instead of spending the whole year talking about
Civil War.
the Civil War.
Mhm.
We want to make the connections of how the Civil War actually happened in other countries too, and what happened in those countries.
What did it lead into?
Yeah.
And so, Paula, that you talked about that history repeats itself, it sure does. There were civil wars in multiple countries. Ours is important because it's our country, but we also have to know that other countries or other locations in the world had similar issues. And then how do we move past that, or how do we get to, well, were the reasons why the Civil War happened in the United States, and what do they compare to the reasons why Civil War happened in France or in other places called revolutions, in other countries. So
There's a
Right.
lot more use of authentic text than textbooks now in
Okay.
the instruction of social sciences. So you're going to pull out a real document to reference.
Going back to the cursive instruction, it might have been a journal entry from people who served in the war, or to participated, or letters home from a service person. And so that's really incredible perspective viewing along the way, instead of just reading in 19 whatever this happened. It really makes you get into it, feel the story a little bit differently. So I agree that history, and at the moment, the push for Black history and Brown history and the history of Canada and Mexico as our neighbors, and the hidden histories of things that have been hidden. I use that word twice, but those are all part of the history lessons too that are important.
Okay.
Okay, so what other weaknesses?
Kathleen, I have a couple opportunities. I don't want to forget them. Would you like me to just type them in now?
Sure.
I can see there's only 5 minutes left.
Yes.
Yeah. Paul, I have a hard time differentiating between weaknesses and opportunities. Like I'm not taking them as
Happens a
weaknesses.
lot.
There's opportunities. Like I wanted to move it over there. So I probably have some questions as a newbie about SEL curriculum and resources. How much, if any, are being utilized across the building? And is there a designated time and a schedule for our classroom teacher to cover that? Or are we working on integrating that into every minute of every day kind of thing? Where are we going with that stuff? Because I had trauma informed informal training on that last year, and that's changed everything for me. And SEL, particularly, we were doing second step previously in my previous district. So
Right.
Is something like that happening? And
So I think that's
It's a second step in all of our buildings. Yeah. So that's
okay.
a curriculum that our social workers use.
So I
Okay.
think it is an opportunity to expand or to continue to grow with it. I think that those are all really important topics. We learned that this year, and we've put in a lot of things for classroom teachers to do this year, but we may not have been able to get it broad, like you said, for the entire school. And the important part is that it does need to be just-in-time instruction periodically. If there's an issue in the classroom, you need to do something to address the issue. You can't wait and say, oh, that's lesson 13 in second steps, and so we have to wait until we get to lesson 13. I'm being a little facetious there, but you get what I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
What other weaknesses, and if we're bleeding into opportunities, that's good too.
Yeah.
I think to continue to expand the use of thinking maps across the curricular areas, and also maybe to look for ways to kind of incorporate science and social science instruction more in our literacy.
So a blended learning experience that you're reading and writing about some of those topics you're learning in science and social studies.
Mm-hmm.
The more connections kids see to it, the better.
What about grammar?
So grammar is one of those things I mentioned about foundational skills, how important that is to understand word work and such. And the moment there's lots of different opinions about grammar, but I'm a believer that kids need to know how to write really great sentences.
Yeah.
And the way they write really great sentences is to understand how words work together. I'm not sure. My personal opinion is that diagramming a sentence and identifying each word isn't the best use of our time, but maybe that we're getting really good ideas down on paper with varied sentence length and varied use of words. All of those are really important. But grammar is definitely a topic for all.
Is it emphasized in the schools?
We have learning targets for every grade level that have to do with grammar in every grade level. So
when my grandkids were going through the younger grades, they weren't getting it, stopping with a period and starting with a capital, everything ran together, and their writing is still atrocious.
So
that's an area of weakness we want to know.
So we are, Katie knows that we're having some additional training this Friday on that through Thinking Maps as well, about good sentence construction. And when I wrote about writing, saying that was an area, all of those things fit into it, in appropriate use of rubrics so that we all know what we're looking for, and holding kids responsible for appropriate noun, verb, subject, verb agreement, and about sentence capitalization, punctuations, all of those kind of things are part of the work we're trying. Keep going though with weaknesses and opportunities. I'm down to 1 minute. Yeek.
I have a couple things. One thing I didn't see was cross-curricular content. We touched on that a bit. So I'd like to see, I think that's a weakness right now, but an opportunity for movement that we need to really hit cross-curricular. And then on the social emotional piece, what that looks like in the classroom, and to be frank, I guess, getting the behavior charts off the walls in the classrooms is a big opportunity, and what social emotional learning is and where it's going and what we need to get rid of and what is really considered old practice.
So that all is involved in what the environment is, how kids work together, how they treat each other, how they talk to each other, how they talk to adults. All of those things I think are the things you were talking about. And it shouldn't be a thing. It should be just the way we do business. And it should just become an ingrained part of our school community, is what I'm hearing you say in my
yes, exactly. And it can be traumatizing for one kid to see their pain go down and not be able to recover, and what that can do to the rest of the classroom, so I think there's a lot of layers to that.
So I'm conscious of time, that my computer says 9:01. I told you that this was going to be the best group. And so I hope if you have time over the next weeks, this document is open to you. So if you think of anything else that we want to add in there, and then we can, share them or discuss them if there's questions about it. I think the nice thing is, yes, it's good to hear the strengths, but we do have to think about areas of growth. I'm going to share a couple just to throw them out there as we close. I think personally our school day is too short. I would love to see more. I didn't address that in the presentation, and I just know that our school day is shorter than some other school districts around, and so I would love more instructional minutes.
It is, Lake Villa has longer days.
Lots of school districts have longer days, and that all came from the strike that happened many years ago, that the short day was shortened and we never gained back. I would really love to see a foreign language taught to all of our students. Paula, you talked about bilingual education.
Oh, definitely.
We had to drop our foreign language instruction after the strike as well years ago, and that never has returned. Part of it is because of the length of the day. It's hard to fit that in on top of those kind of things.
Just to clarify, it wasn't a strike, but we did have to do some fiscal cuts that impacted that.
That's when the district went to 2 shifts a day and all kinds of things.
I remember that.
We actually removed all encore and specials my first year of teaching here.
So all of the, we went through a rough patch for a while, and so we haven't returned fully. I think that we need, I have to sell myself here a little bit. I think we need a full new reading program or some new resources to add to reading. We have some good ones, but I think we need some new ideas there. And then for the people who know me, you're not going to be surprised when I talk about that we need to have texts and materials that our students see themselves. So we need reading materials with African American kids in it. We need reading materials with Hispanic kids in it. We need to have, in our school community, we have LGBTQ representatives of students. We need to see them in the materials we're using. So I just feel strongly that we have some areas of growth there. I've talked way too long. I'm sorry I've kept you late. You can tell that I can talk about these kind of things easily and fluidly and with a lot of passion. So
I'm glad to hear it.
Pardon?
I am glad to hear it. All of you, I'm very glad that I am on this committee because I'm seeing great things for our children in our community and great teachers too.
So keep telling everybody you know. That's part of this group work too, is to be power people, to share all the great things that were happening. So again, if you have time and you think of strengths or weaknesses, or you want to look at the presentation again, they're linked at the bottom of this page. I am really glad that I'll be working with this group again. So thank you. I hope everyone has a great night. If anyone wants to stay on and ask me any further questions, I'm glad to stay for a little bit.
Okay, I can't get to the links.
Okay, so Paula, well, I'll help you and everyone else, unless everyone else has questions.
Good night,
too.
everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Paula, can you get to the document that said where your name was and how you got to this group?
Okay.
So it was called Goal Area Teams.
Oops, I got it here. Okay.
Okay, then do you see our column, the second column where it has my name, Paul Lewis?
Yeah.
Okay, so under curriculum, instruction, and achievement at the top, the first row below it, it says small group meeting link.
Right.
And then right below that, it says SWOT analysis document.
Yeah.
And so if you click on the blue words, hopefully another box or a little thing opens up for you to click on to open.
Oh, yes, it does. Okay. Open preview.
There you go. And so you should see the boxes that we were just typing in that Katie was presenting.
Yep.
And then if you scroll all the way down,
Presentation link.
there it is. So in case you want to look at that again, it's right there for you.
Perfect. Perfect. And I can download that.
You certainly can.
All right, Paul. Thank you so much.
I appreciate your time and your patience and your input here. It's really nice.
Oh, I hope I'm contributing something.
Absolutely. And I hope we gave you some good ideas of things that we're working on. We're working really hard.
I am so glad to see that. It just blows my mind what I knew they were learning a lot of, way different things than I did, but it's really great to see this.
Awesome. You have a good night, Paula.
You too, Paul. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Let's see. Meet. All right. Hang up.